4:06 in the morning. That's when dead people come knocking.
I know because my brother died 8 months ago. We buried him on a Tuesday in January when the ground was so frozen they had to use special equipment just to dig the hole.
I was there. I watched them lower the casket. I threw dirt on top of it. So when I heard 3 slow knocks on my apartment door at exactly 4:06 a.m. on this September night, and looked through the peephole to see my brother standing there in the yellow hallway light, I did what any rational person would do. I opened the door. He looked exactly the same. Same leather jacket I'd buried him in. Same scar above his left eyebrow from when we were kids and I accidentally hit him with a baseball bat. Same crooked smile that made every girl in high school lose their minds. "Hey, little sister," he said, voice rough like he'd been running. "Can I come in?" I should have screamed. Should have slammed the door. Should have called someone, anyone. Instead, I stepped aside. Because here's what nobody tells you about grief: you don't actually want to let go. Everyone says you need closure, you need to move on, you need to accept they're gone. But if your dead brother shows up at your door, you let him in. You make him coffee. You sit across from him at your kitchen table and you pretend this is normal because the alternative is that you're losing your mind. "You're not real," I whispered, watching him dump 3 sugars in his mug. He always took 3 sugars. "I'm real enough," he said. "But we don't have much time. They'll notice I'm gone soon." "Who's they?" He looked at me with eyes that seemed older somehow, sadder. "The people who killed me. See, everyone thought my brother died in a car accident. Single vehicle collision on Route 47, black ice, went off the road into a tree." That's what the police report said. That's what the funeral director told us. That's what I'd believed for 8 months. There was no ice that night. He said now, hands wrapped around the coffee mug. "I was driving to meet someone. Someone who promised me information about Dad. Our father had disappeared 5 years ago. Walked out for cigarettes and never came back, that's what Mom always said. But my brother never believed it. He spent years searching, following leads that went nowhere, making calls that nobody returned. I found something," he continued. "A pattern. 17 men in our county, all disappeared over the past 20 years. All between ages 40 and 50. All with families. And nobody investigating because everyone just assumed they left." "That's impossible," I said. "Someone would have noticed." "You'd think so." He pulled out his phone, or what looked like a phone, but the screen was cracked, water damaged, wrong somehow. But what if the person doing the investigating was the same person making them disappear? He showed me a photo. Sheriff Burton, our county sheriff for the past 23 years, standing next to a man I didn't recognize. They were shaking hands in front of what looked like a warehouse. "Who's that?" I asked. "That's the last person who tried to expose this. He disappeared 2 days after this photo was taken." The coffee in my stomach turned to ice. "How do you even have this? You were dead?" He smiled, but it wasn't his real smile. "Yeah, about that." My brother leaned back in the chair and it creaked, a real, physical sound. Whatever he was, he had weight, substance, presence. "I died in that crash. Technically. Heart stopped for 4 minutes. He touched his chest. "But there's a facility. Underground. About 40 miles north of here, disguised as a water treatment plant." "You're saying someone brought you back to life?" "That's insane." "I'm saying someone's been bringing people back for a very specific purpose." He pulled up his sleeve. There, on his inner forearm, was a mark I'd never seen before. A serial number, branded into the skin. "We're test subjects. Experimental. They wanted to see if consciousness could be preserved and reinstalled after death." I couldn't breathe. The kitchen suddenly felt too small, too warm. Most of us don't make it past the first week. Something goes wrong with the neural mapping, or the body rejects the process, or, he stopped. "Let's just say I've seen things you can't unsee. People who come back wrong. Why you? I managed to ask. Why bring you back? Because of what I knew. They couldn't risk me dying with that information. They needed to know what I'd found, who I told, what evidence I'd gathered. He leaned forward. But here's the thing about dying and coming back, you remember different. Clearer. Like everything's in high definition now. And I remembered something I'd forgotten. The last thing I saw before the crash. His jaw tightened. It wasn't an accident. There was another car. It forced me off the road. I need you to listen very carefully, my brother said, and his voice had changed. More urgent now, almost desperate. There's a woman who works at the county records office. She's been there 30 years. Nobody pays attention to her because she's quiet, keeps to herself. What's her name? Doesn't matter. Third floor, corner desk by the window with all the plants. She has a cactus collection, 17 of them. He was talking faster now. She's been keeping copies. Every disappearance, every incident report that got buried, every inconsistency. She's been documenting everything for 2 decades. Why hasn't she come forward? Because they threatened her daughter. Told her if she ever spoke up, the daughter would be next. He grabbed my hand and I could feel it warm, solid, real. But her daughter's getting married next month. Moving to Portland. Once she's out of state, out of their reach. She'll talk, I finished. She'll talk. But only to someone she trusts. Someone who has as much to lose as she does. He squeezed my hand. Someone whose brother disappeared into their system. The implication hit me like a freight train. You want me to approach her? I want you to finish what I started. He pulled out a small USB drive, placed it on the table between us. Everything I found is on here. Names, dates, locations. It's not enough to take them down, but it's a start. Combined with what she has. They'll kill me, I said flatly. Probably. He didn't even try to lie. But they're going to kill me anyway. I'm on borrowed time, literally. This body has maybe 72 hours before it starts breaking down. That's how the process works. They can bring you back, but they can't make it stick. I looked at this person who was my brother but also somehow wasn't. Same face, same voice, but carrying the weight of death and resurrection. There's something else, he said quietly. Something I need to tell you before I run out of time. What? Do you remember Jake? My best friend from college? I remembered. Jake with the dark curly hair and the laugh that sounded like summer. Jake who came to every family dinner, who taught me to change a tire when I was 16, who looked at my brother like he hung the moon. He's been helping me, my brother continued. Even before I died. He was the one who helped me dig into Dad's disappearance. And after the crash, he paused. He's the reason I'm here now. He works at the facility. Low-level tech support, but he has access. He broke you out? For exactly 6 hours. That's all he could mask in the system. After that, they'll know I'm gone and they'll know he helped me. My brother's eyes were wet now. They'll kill him for this. Slowly. Make an example. The kitchen clock ticked over to 4:47 a.m. Unless, he said. Unless what? Unless we give them something bigger to worry about. Something that makes one escaped subject and one traitorous employee seem insignificant. He pushed the USB drive closer to me. You go to the records woman. Get her files. Upload everything to every news outlet, every social media platform, every government agency you can find. Do it all at once, before they can suppress it. That's suicide, I said. That's the point. He stood up, started pacing. They can't kill everyone. If enough people know, if the story goes viral, they'll have to retreat. Shut down the facility. Destroy the evidence. They'll be too busy covering their tracks to hunt down individual loose ends. You really believe that?
He stopped pacing, turned to look at me.
I believe it's our only shot.
Mine, Jake's, yours, everyone who's been taken.
The apartment was silent except for our breathing and that ticking clock. 4:51 a.m.
I need to tell you something, I said, my voice barely a whisper. About the night Dad disappeared.
My brother went very still. I lied to the police. And to you. And to Mom.
The words felt like broken glass coming up.
I was awake that night.
I heard them arguing in the kitchen.
Dad and someone else.
Who?
I don't know.
I was 12 and scared and I stayed in my room.
But I heard Dad say something. He said, "You can't keep doing this. These are people, they have families." I was shaking now. And the other voice said, "You knew what you were signing up for. You're in too deep to grow a conscience now."
My brother had gone pale.
Why didn't you ever tell anyone? Because the next morning, when Dad was gone, the other voice came back. Knocked on our door.
Told Mom that Dad had left on his own accord and that if anyone asked, that's what she should say.
I looked up at him.
It was Sheriff Burton.
The clock showed 4:58 a.m.
Dad was part of this, my brother said slowly. He was involved with the disappearances.
And he wanted out. So they made him disappear too. The tears were coming now, hot and fast. I think he's in that facility.
I think he's been there for 5 years.
And I think that's why they came after you. Because you were getting close to finding him. My brother crossed the kitchen in 2 strides and pulled me into a hug.
He smelled like earth and antiseptic and something else, something wrong that I couldn't place. "We're going to end this," he whispered into my hair.
For Dad. For everyone they took. How much time do we have? I asked. He pulled back, checked his phone. I need to be back by 10 a.m. That's when they do the morning count.
If I'm not in my pod, he didn't finish the sentence.
And Jake? He's on shift until 6 p.m. After that, they'll review the security footage from last night and see what he did.
My brother's voice cracked.
I need to say goodbye to him. Before they take me back.
Before this body gives out. There are others, my brother said, pulling out a worn notebook from his jacket.
People on the outside who've been investigating.
Most of them don't know about each other, but I've been connecting the dots. He flipped through pages covered in cramped handwriting, sketches, phone numbers. This woman lost her husband 3 years ago.
Supposed suicide, but she never believed it. This man's son vanished after reporting corruption in the county planning department.
This teenager started asking questions about her uncle's death and suddenly her college applications all got mysteriously rejected.
There were dozens of names. Dozens of people whose lives had been quietly destroyed.
They're all looking for the truth, he continued. They just don't have enough pieces to see the whole picture. But if we give them the USB drive contents, if we coordinate with the records woman, if we all go public at the same time,
we overwhelm their ability to silence us, I finished. Exactly.
He tore out a page from the notebook, handed it to me.
These are the people you need to contact. Today.
Before they figure out what we're doing.
The clock showed 5:23 a.m. The sky outside my window was starting to lighten, deep blue fading to gray.
I should go, my brother said, but he didn't move.
I should get back to Jake before.
His phone buzzed.
Then again.
Then it started ringing. He looked at the screen and his face went white.
They know. They know I'm out. How? Doesn't matter. He was already moving toward the door. Listen to me. Everything we talked about, you have to do it today. Don't wait. Don't second guess. Just. The phone rang again. This time he answered it. Yeah.
His voice was steady, calm.
A pause. No, I'm okay. Okay. I understand. 20 minutes. He hung up. That was Jake. They're doing an emergency audit.
Random selection, they're saying, but he ran his hand through his hair.
I have to go back now. If I'm not there in 20 minutes, they'll start the real lockdown. Dogs, helicopters, roadblocks.
They'll find me and they'll know Jake helped.
What about saying goodbye?
My brother's laugh was broken.
I already did. Last night, before we broke me out.
We had 6 hours and we spent 5 of them just being together.
Like normal people. Like we could have been if the world was different.
He wiped his eyes. He told me he loved me.
First time he ever said it out loud.
What did you say back? I told him I'd loved him since sophomore year of college. Since the night he stayed up with me when Mom was in the hospital. Since I realized that the feeling in my chest when he walked in a room wasn't friendship, it was everything. The sunrise was painting my kitchen orange and gold. Take this, my brother said, pressing the USB drive into my palm.
And this. The notebook. And this. A small key on a beaded chain. That opens a storage unit off Highway 9. Unit 247. There's more evidence there. Documents I couldn't digitize, photos, recordings. How do I know I can trust the people on that list? You don't. But you don't have a choice.
He grabbed my shoulders, looked me straight in the eyes.
They're going to come for you once this goes public. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. You need to be ready to run. I'm not leaving Mom. You have to.
They'll use her against you otherwise. His grip tightened.
Promise me.
When this goes south, when they start closing in, you grab Mom and you run.
There's money in the storage unit. New IDs for both of you. Bus tickets to 3 different cities, you pick which one when the time comes. You planned this, I realized. You knew you weren't going to make it out. I planned for every possibility. He pulled me into one more hug. I need you to know something.
What happened to me, what they did, it's worse than death. The things I've seen in that facility, the experiments, the people who came back wrong and are trapped in their own failing bodies, begging for it to end.
He was shaking. If they take you, don't let them bring you back. Whatever happens, stay dead. Promise me. I promise, I whispered. He pulled away, headed for the door. Stopped with his hand on the knob.
Tell Jake something for me, he said without turning around.
Tell him it was worth it. Every second we had, every risk we took.
Tell him I died happy because I got to love him.
You can tell him yourself when you get back. I'm not coming back from this.
He turned now, and I saw the truth in his eyes.
This body's already breaking down. I can feel it.
By tonight, maybe sooner, he smiled that crooked smile one last time.
But that's okay. I got to see you. Got to set things in motion. Got to make it mean something. The clock showed 5:47 a.m. He opened the door. Wait, I said. What happens if I fail? What if I can't get the story out? What if nobody believes it? What if? Then you run anyway.
You take Mom and you disappear and you live your life and you remember us.
Me and Dad and everyone they took. That's enough. It's not enough. It has to be. He walked out into the hallway. The door closed behind him.
I stood there holding the USB drive and the notebook and the key, watching the sunrise through my kitchen window, and I knew that everything was about to change. The knock at 4:06 a.m. wasn't just my dead brother coming back. It was the beginning of the end. I didn't waste time crying. By 6 a.m., I was at my laptop, copying the USB drive contents to 7 different cloud services. By 7 a.m., I was downloading everything from the storage unit. My brother had given me remote access codes I hadn't even known existed.
By 8 a.m., I was making a list. The records woman.
The family's on my brother's list. Every journalist, blogger, and true crime podcaster I could find contact information for.
Every government agency with a tip line.
Every social media platform with a file upload feature.
By 9 a.m., I was drafting the message that would go out with everything. My brother died 8 months ago.
Or so they told us.
Last night, he knocked on my door. This is what he told me before they took him back.
By 10 a.m., I was standing outside the county records office, watching people file in for work.
3rd floor. Corner desk. 17 cacti. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Is this, a woman's voice, shaking? Are you his sister? Yes. He told me you might call.
Jake. He told me if anything happened to him, I should trust you.
A pause.
They took him 3 hours ago.
He's in the facility now. My stomach dropped. Is he? He's alive. For now. But you need to move fast. They're accelerating the timeline. Shutting everything down. Destroying evidence. She was crying now. Please. He said you'd know what to do. He said you'd finish it. I looked up at the records office building.
Thought about my brother in that facility, body breaking down. Thought about Jake, who'd risked everything for one last night with the person he loved.
Thought about my father, wherever he was. I'm finishing it, I said into the phone. Tell Jake to hold on. Tell him we're coming. I hung up. Took a breath.
And walked inside to burn their world down. 3 days later, the facility was a smoking crater.
The story had gone viral.
International news, federal investigations, everything. Sheriff Burton was in custody.
The records woman was giving testimony. 17 families were getting answers they'd waited years for.
But my brother's body was never found in the wreckage.
Neither was Jake's.
And last night, at exactly 4:06 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number.
Just 2 words. Still running. I'm choosing to believe that means what I hope it means. I'm choosing to believe in impossible things. After all, dead people can knock on doors. Who says they can't escape too?